Michael Hayes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, former wrestlers and coaches, family, friends, and everybody that's gathered here this afternoon. Today I'm humbled and thrilled at the same time. You don't get those very often. I'm filled with emotions, as you'll probably be able to tell later on, of both gratitude and pride. Today I don't just receive an honor, I join a community of people whose spirit has shaped my life and the lives of most of the people in this room. In 1971, Hall of Fame Coach Roy Michael started a wrestling team at Mannington High School. I was a senior, and that's about all the wrestling I learned, was that 1 year. Now I came back after that to practices that he asked me to come back to. And in 1979, when North Marion opened, I was a 2-year teacher and got transferred back to Mannington, where I wanted to be, my hometown. There's a group of boys, 7 or 8, I think, that came to me in 79/80 and asked me to help them start a wrestling team. They didn't want to play basketball. And I thought, I don't know a lot, but I can learn. Coach Michael didn't wrestle. He learned along the way. So we did. I went and got my permission from the principal to try to start one. Called Coach Michael, and of course everybody that knows Coach Michael, he was all supportive, and he always was. And he brought a wrestling mat up probably that day, I don't remember exactly, but he brought a wrestling mat up from North Marion so we could start. And that's where it started. I remember thinking back then, man, that $400 they're going to pay me is really going to boost my salary. And the funny thing is I don't think it doubled by the time I quit. Most of you were bitten by the wrestling bug, and if you weren't, you really missed something. I realized early that coaching middle school was going to be a totally different can of worms. It wasn't high school. And I realized that it was going to be my job to hook them, teach them as many basics as I could teach them, and then pray for them to do the best that they could do the rest of the way. I could probably tell you 1,000 stories, but it'd take somebody to remind me of them, so I'm not going to go there. I'm very aware that no one reaches this place alone, so above all, I'd like to thank God for his countless blessings and mercies, and especially in my career choice that I love getting up and going to every day. I know without my faith I wouldn't be where I am, and I pray this for my family and every one of you out there to be able to have that comfort. Thanks to my parents. My mom's over here. She's going to be 98 next month. They encouraged me and taught me the value of hard work and integrity. My brother and my family members that are also over there, they always cheered me on from the stands and shared the triumphs and setbacks during the course of my career. I also now want to thank my support system. My wife, just like Mr. Archer, just like everybody going down the line. My wife Cheri back there, we were married 48 years ago. She knew from that moment that we were married that I was going to be doing something in sports. She probably wasn't going to guess wrestling, but she knew I was going to be doing something in sports. She's always been my backup singer, as she likes to say that. She's a backup singer for me. As many of you probably did, I found my perfect mate. And through the concession stands, the mat maid training, the hospitality rooms, the recognition nights, she was always able to help me, always stood by my side to make anything better that she could. Thank you, and I love you. My two sons, Dusty and Daran. By the way, Dusty's the oldest, and I found out she was expecting on a payphone. Everybody remember payphones? On a payphone in Cameron. I had to put a quarter in to check on her, to tell her I was on my way home, and from a wrestling tournament. So that's how far back wrestling is, and hate to tell anybody how old you are. But both the boys were forced to give me up during wrestling season. I couldn't follow basketball, which Dusty did play, or pee-wee wrestling that Daran did, because I was at a match or I was at a tournament. But they managed to thrive against Cheri stepped in and took over. I'm very proud of the men that they've both become and the families that they have. Their beautiful wives, Rachel and Stacy, are here with them. And of course, those wonderful grandkids, can't beat them, Brady, Landree, and Amelia. I love y'all. If I tried to name all the people that had a hand in this journey, I would no doubt leave somebody out. So I'm not going to try to name everybody. But I would like to thank Rick Reinhardt, who's also back here. He was in my class in 6th grade. And he probably would have been on Ritalin now. I sat him in a desk and turned him against the wall more times than I can remember. But he wrestled for me in the 7th and 8th grade when he got to sit, because you couldn't wrestle in the 6th grade then. So in the 7th and 8th grade, he wrestled for me, and then he disappeared for about 10 or 12 years. I didn't see much of him. And then I ran into him and I said, why don't you come back and be my assistant at wrestling? They're letting me have an assistant this year. So he said, okay. Well, now he's been my assistant ever since. And it doesn't matter whether I was coaching football or whether I was coaching wrestling, he was always there to help out. And it's really nice to have been recognized by somebody that's a colleague and a former wrestler, a former student, whatever you want to say, and it just makes it that much greater. So thank you, Rick. We traveled all over the state, went to games, wrestling matches, and everything else, and I was thrilled to be nominated, but to come from a colleague, like I said, it makes it that much better. Finally, all the friends and former wrestlers and mat maids that have made their way down here, and I can name them all, but like I said, Rick, Jay, Ryan, Devin, Kayla, all that, Milton, Melissa, Mary, all those people that were somehow played a hand, but they're in here. And making this trip down here fills my heart with love and my eyes with tears. So I've never expected that I would be accepting this honor, but I'm pleased to share it with my family, my friends, and the athletes that I've developed relationships with. This honor belongs to you as much as it does me. Wrestling in West Virginia holds a special place in my heart, and our Hall of Fame is not just a celebration of individual achievement, it's a testament to the collective efforts of all those who've contributed to the sport. It honors those who laid foundations, the champions who inspired us, the unsung heroes who quietly shaped lives, and today I'm overwhelmed and proud to join their ranks in the West Virginia Wrestling Hall of Fame, and I'm mindful of the responsibility that comes with that. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart to all who helped me, challenged me, and walked beside me on this path. And thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for this extraordinary recognition. Thank you.